This week we're going to end our science experiments with a lesson in potion making. We're going to be looking at some different things you can do around the house to make your own potions. So we've looked at how chemical reactions work. Now we're going to look at a physical reaction. We're going to be dissolving sugar into water. A physical reaction doesn't actually change the substance, so it's still going to be sugar, it's still going to be water. It's just going to be combined together. However, you can put too much sugar in. If you've ever done that to, say, Kool-Aid to try to make it sweeter, and you'll notice that there's a film of sugar on the bottom because there's just too much for the water to absorb. So a couple weeks ago, we had talked about changing density through temperature change. What we're going to do is we're going to heat up the water, and by heating it up, we can actually pour a lot more sugar into it. And once we do that, we can use that super saturated sugar water concoction to make one final experiment. Now we're going to look at a physical reaction. We are going to take a solid sugar and dissolve it into this room temperature water. We're going to see how many spoonfuls of sugar can dissolve in the water before the sugar becomes saturated and you can see physical signs of sugar in the water because no more can be absorbed. Now I've put a line on the glass because we're then going to boil water and see how much sugar it takes in boiled form. So we're going to start off with room temperature. 1. So 4 spoonfuls of sugar in room temperature water. Yeah, the 5th one will not dissolve at all. Now we have the boiling water. We've got it filled up to the same line as before, but now the water is much, much hotter. We've got an heating pan underneath it to make sure that the table is safe and that we're safe. And you can see a little bit of steam on the glass. We're going to see how many spoonfuls of sugar this water takes. So. And it looks like at about 21, we're finally there. We have saturated the solution. So, as you can see, the hot water can absorb 4 times as much sugar as the room temperature. And looking at the line, you can see how much water has been displaced. So now we have a really sugary water mix. What can we do with that? I'll show you next. Now we have our sugary water mix, and we are going to show you how to make crystals from it. Sugar crystals, obviously. So we're going to take our sugar water mix, and we want to get the solid sugar out of there because the sugar will want to bond to itself, so you'll grow the crystals off of those sugars instead of what you want to grow them on. So what we're going to do is we're just going to carefully strain out the water, making sure that as few crystals get in as possible. And then you're going to want to have a clean cup, which you're then going to put your other substance into. So what I'm going to do is grow it off of a pipe cleaner. So we've got the nice stiff metal pipe cleaner and then the little bit of bristles that will give the sugar something to grip onto. So you don't want the pipe cleaner to touch either the walls or the floor because that will cause the crystals to grow in odd ways. So I'm suspending it using this marker, and it's just going to dangle right there in the middle of our sugar water once I clean out this cup. So I'm going to clean everything up, set it up, and then show you what it looks like at the very end. I prepared these solutions ahead of time. This one is from Epsom salt. This one is from the sugar that we used earlier. So I've superheated the water and filled with the crystal substance, and then as the water cools, the crystals will fall out of the solution. That's what it's called when the crystals reform. If there's an object, such as the string, in the solution, the crystals will form on those and then start building off from it. As you can see, they've also built off of the walls, so you do have to watch it a little bit and nurture your crystals. But you can see that some of the crystals have been growing off of the string. Now, the reason why I did salt and sugar is they have a different crystal structure, and as the crystals grow, we should be able to see those crystals grow in their unique shapes. Here we have the two solutions. The one that I had made earlier on in this week to use as a demonstration to show you what it's going to look like as it starts setting, and the one that I made with you today. So originally I had used a string as the attraction to grow the crystals off of. Unfortunately, the twine that I used in the water, it frayed and it didn't hold together nearly as much as I would like it to, which is why I switched over to the pipe cleaner for this one. So as you can see, the sugar is starting to grow off of the string. You can see some of the crystals forming off of there. As the water evaporates and as more sugar falls out of the solution, the crystals will grow bigger and more defined. We've got this one to show you what it looks like at the very beginning, and I'm going to show you pictures of, or images of, what these crystals look like after a couple more days of growth. It has been a week, and as you can see, we did not put enough sugar in. The 20-some spoonfuls was not enough. Typically, you want to go with a 3-to-1 ratio. I like 1/3 of a cup of water and then 1 full cup of sugar. When you do that, you end up with a much more consistent mix once it starts drying. So, thank you for joining us here at the Allen Park Public Library for Tech Tuesday. I've been Mad Dan. I hope that you had a good time with this. I know that I did. See you next time.